Video's now on.
Okay, ready? It's 5 o'clock. Let's call the meeting of the city of Town Arundel Council to order. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Keasley.
Here.
Fisher.
Here.
Rodstrom.
Here.
Mylum.
Here.
Cook.
Here. All right, let's start with Eric. Anybody?
My budget is pretty much the standard one, well, at this point, it's the standard one that we give every year. Bare minimums. Nothing extravagant. Questions?
Anyone have any questions?
1 second, just.
Got more staff managers and then.
Yeah, so the plumbing inspector position went from part-time to full-time positions, so that increased that. Last,
Well,
yeah, we should, if everything comes to fruition, that we have in the pipeline, we're all gonna be really busy.
to accommodate it.
We can probably, we can figure it out. Dave's the good people, he'll get it done. I'm on his end of things, and I've got myself and I've got Joe full time, and we'll manage with that. If we have to talk about temporary expansion, I'll run by the mayor and you guys on that. A lot of it will come down to how many of these projects hit at the same time. There's one project in particular that we've all known, has been talking about for a while. I don't think that one's gonna happen this year, and even if it does, it's gonna be more heavy on Jason and engineering than it will be on the building department. If the Kruger project comes along, a lot of that is gonna be special inspection. So they're gonna have to hire a third-party inspector that's there 24/7 watching their stuff, because that's a significant enough project. Yeah, at the next much time at our expense. That, it warrants direct eyes on things 24/7. Anytime they're doing work, they need somebody there to, a third party to look at bolted connections, make sure that the concrete is meeting slump, meeting the PSI requirements as per the drawings, making sure the rebar is designed and stuff like that. Other than that, yeah, we'll bob and weave.
From your standpoint, I mean, when you do the budget, what we mostly see is the expense side of things. The new permits and everything else, there's definitely an expectation of revenue to offset some of that. Do you have input on the revenue piece that shows up on the revenue side, or is that?
So I just ran a report real quick this morning, and last year, total fees collected, and I don't think this is truly everything. This is just the stuff that's collected within my office, was a little under 139 grand for us. My total budget even now is 236 of it. Yeah. Oh, that right. Yeah. So with I did a real quick Excel spreadsheet when I did the permit fee presentation. I think initially, just based off of previous years, I'm gonna 30 to 50 easily.
In revenue?
Yeah, in revenue. So to basically close the gap. So, and just up from there. Like I said before, my goal is to have as little to no impact on the general budget as possible. I want to run real minor in the red or real minor in the black.
What was the fees for next year?
January,
Just doing what last month's, we put whatever the increase on that for, that's a hell of an increase.
Yeah.
Per month, so, yeah.
oh yeah, like in 2023, we did 484 permits. Like 484 total permits. So with an average of $10 a piece, that's $5 grand right there.
But your new fees don't go until January 1,
Right,
Right.
January 1.
That's what I'm saying for next year, right?
So
Great time to incentivize people, but that startup things, right?
Yeah.
Commit to things.
well, the problem is you still have 6 months to start. It's only good for a year anyways. So yeah, so if you have something that works, absolutely.
Right.
Like get it going before January 1st. But we're not ready to figure it out.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Anyone have any questions? Good, good. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mary. You're welcome. Thank you.
Jason, come on in. Hey, Jason.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Anybody have any specific questions for Jason?
Dave, what's the professional services at 40,000? What's that for?
That's for different projects that come up each year that we might need some help with. Not always an automatic spend each year. It's like one thing that some of the senior council members already know about my department, new council members may not. When I've got lines, I don't spend my line if I don't need it. For example, like my auto repair line, things like that.
Right.
Very rarely max those things out, so it goes back. But on the other hand, the car is 11 years old at this point, so, I had to be prepared to have at least something in the line. So trying to zero it out and hope. Yeah, for this, I know a good chunk of that this year is gonna go towards the zoning project that we have. Mostly grant funded, but I need like 30 grand of that to cover the part that exceeds the grant amount.
And we ask the question every year, especially with the larger projects like that, is that, do you think that's gonna be sufficient to cover your professional services?
I mean, from what I got this year, and it wasn't enough anyway, but. On the engineer, so my budget is kind of a little different than other departments also. You go to the police department or fire and they've got like all their budget is in one departmental line. Mine is actually made up of two. I've got the engineering lines, and then I've got the engineering improvement budgets, which is 50-20. And only some of that, some things like the solar panel Wales Ave project really isn't engineering related. Bachelor of certification isn't engineering related, but the other projects you see there are. So that's actually where I did a lot of my cutting. I ended up, Wales Ave went up by like $500, just because the cost of the lab has gone up $500. But then I cut Little League Drive subdivision project. That's something we've been carrying for a long time, waiting for that to start. It hasn't started in however many years it's been now, so I just cut it, put it down to zero. Same thing with our Riverwalk survey, I zeroed that out too. So I had to cut like 14,000 to get my 5% cut between the two budget lines. I ended up cutting like 15.5. But that's definitely something, if that project goes. It's supposed to be in the contract. I didn't write the contract or see the contract, but in their contract, they're supposed to be providing inspection services. That is something we will not be able to provide if that project goes, so hopefully that's in the contract. That's full-time. Every day, as long as we got a contractor out there and they're leaving the ground, we need somebody with eyes on this. And, my department is me and Brian at most 4 days a week and a lot of times less.
Brian still shared, there's the others.
No, he's on mine, but I worked out a deal where I sent him to Niagara County for 1 day a week, and they pay us about 46 grand. For his services, to do stormwater out there, 49 grand to do stormwater stuff out there. So essentially, we're acting like a consultant.
So that's almost an issue. For 5,000.
That's not really mine either.
That's the homeless task force.
Wasn't there a line for 5,000 for the cemetery committee with that, next to that?
That's also not mine, but that is in there as well. It's in 50-20 under
City cemetery
217.
capital project?
Yeah,
City cemetery capital project? Okay, we'll go with that.
We talked about that last year, that there's some things within yours that should really.
Can we move those out of there, Evan? Those two, they should be moved out.
Maybe
of
like
there.
those-
If you look at the latest copy of the budget that I provided
It's
today, I
okay.
changed it all the council improvements
Yeah.
instead of engineering improvements.
Oh, yeah.
I just started doing that, and it's just all council improvements, so it's more council type initiatives. Things in there, we can name it however we want to do it, really.
And council initiative seems a little more appropriate,
Yeah.
But I guess to that question as well, and I don't know if it's to your track or keep it, but those funds, are they, we continue to put $5,000 in there, especially for on site, or is that spent? Is there, it's not a trusted agency anymore, but is there a,
Yeah,
They banked them out in there.
Ron definitely spent his money this year, and I believe the homeless, they spent the homeless, the task force has spent a share of it too.
Not the full 10,000, because we, just so
Well,
you
they
know, we
spent-
also get 5,000 from North Carolina. That
They
goes in
spent
there.
our 5,000.
Right, but not,
I believe we only got 2,500 so far from your town.
No, they got.
no, we got.
They did pay the 5 then?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, my departmental budget was, I mean, it's a couple $100,000 for the whole department, 240 something. But usually when I come to these meetings, the more interest is in the capital budget, that's where big bucks are spent. My department may be 240, but I'm running, next year will be a little over $15 million in capital projects out of my department, which is, that's a big year. So I don't know if you guys have capital and you want to go over that or not, but I always am a little confused about what council role is in with the capital budget, it's a 5-year capital plan at this point. Because at the end of the day, no matter what you say or don't say or like or don't like today, it's kind of irrelevant because when the rubber hits the road and when council has to make a decision, it's when the resolutions come up
Right.
to do the bonding authorization. So like, even if like right now you see something that's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense, we want to do that. Come, late March or April, you guys can, say, we're not gonna borrow for that right now, we don't think it's necessary at this point, and it's dead in the water. So this isn't. I don't know, but just like to give you guys a heads up of what's potentially coming, but obviously you're, unlike the general budget, you're not really making a decision here that's gonna stick. Or have an impact, it's when the rubber hits the road, and you're gonna authorize the city to bond, is when your yes knows. That's official.
It's a wish list. It's nice to see it though.
But there's some things that are necessary. You're talking the bridge that are already committed to that we're gonna have to do.
It's-
We're gonna have to buy.
On the road.
I think the way it may be a good way for you guys to look at it, or at least keep it in the back of your head, is when you're seeing all these capital projects, just know that, a year or two after the borrow,
Is when we start.
that's when the expense does hit the general budget. So,
So we approve them this year. We don't start incurring the costs until we take the bond out and start spending.
On each project.
Right. But
so it lags by a couple of years.
that's, you're spending future money that we're looking at right now. So, yeah, sure, let's.
Or projects you may or may not do them too.
So like for next year, what I try to keep, next year's pretty low, because I know we're in a bit of a potential budget crunch here, and I've got a lot of
Do you have a copy
material
of the
from next
capital?
year.
Council has not seen the capital side of that.
I see that.
Oh, you did?
Oh, that was good, like.
I thought it-
Early, I think.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You left it when we came back and looked after. I had-
Do you have a copy of it?
Not on me currently, but I can
Okay.
go, I can go print them off.
Okay, yeah, might be helpful.
Get back.
What big capital projects are you expecting that we're gonna start?
So most of them are already they've got about $10 million worth of work that's already in progress right now. So for new next year, there's like a lot of the standard ones, sidewalks, CDBG, ADA improvements, things like that. The railroad string bridge overlook, which is already in place, we just haven't bonded for it yet, we're, sign's pretty much finalized on that now. The biggest one by far is the DPW garage roof replacement. So we've got the office area under design that was already approved. But now this is actually the garage and the vehicle bay itself. That's like $2.75 million roof project. It's a massive roof. And that's also got all those solar panels on it. So we've got to pay to have the solar panels removed, and then pay to have them stored, and then pay to have them reinstalled on top of the roof itself. And then a couple others that we were already working on, main pump station generator replacement project. That's about a $1.5 million project.
Is the library roof replacement on there?
I don't have it on here for 25. I've got it in for 26 because I think
Does that need to be moved up?
my understanding is when I talked to the librarian, they were gonna gun for it, but they couldn't get it in for this year. So they were gonna push it in for the following year.
And some of these projects have
We might
grant
need to
money.
look into that.
attached to it.
That's
Yeah,
in
we-
pretty rough shape.
Yeah, it does need to be done there, so there's a county grant. And I didn't really get a great explanation, I don't know if he knows, or I just wasn't understanding his explanation. But there's 2 levels of funding percentage wise, of what can be funded. by the county, but the majority of the roof would be funded by the county,
Oh,
if they get
okay.
the grant.
If they get the grant, okay,
And that was something that the librarian was gonna apply for
okay,
next go round.
Okay.
For next April for 26.
okay.
Some of the other, got some grant cash.
Yep.
Like the overlook was one, over here.
Yep.
Now you want the library was another one, I'm sure.
3/4 of CDBG will be
The
funded.
pedestrian bridge.
And then for 26. 26 is where I've got another. Over $11 million worth of capital, new capital work coming in. Because that's when DRI is gonna hit, so a good chunk of that is DRI related. There's canal docks, that's DRI. Main broad waterfront connection, that's the parking lot area there, that would also be DRI funding. The Long Homestead Historical Society, I've got the library roof in there for a little under 300,000. We've also, at 26, we are going to be funding another structural assessment of that vault at 6 Main, because we don't know who's responsible for that yet. And the 3 years that we had to decide since the last one, that was 4 years since we were aware of the problem. So we're a good 7 years and now hasn't been decided. So going forward, if we don't have a decision or a legal resolution to that, city will be spending another 25,000 to do the study. If the study shows that it has to be structurally repaired, the city's gonna be coming up with another 300 to 400,000 to fix it.
Well, taking his equipment out of the hole.
Whatever legal.
Whatever
resolution
Fill it in.
determination is,
is decided, whatever's
Just
decided
keep paying 25 grand, but it came down.
Every 3 years,
every 3 years.
25,000 every 3 years, but eventually it's gonna collapse.
Eventually it's gonna have to be
Eventually
repaired.
someone's gonna-
And I actually think I have that at the back of this 5-year plan.
But his equipment's in the hole. If we fix it, we have to go around his equipment.
It was built
He
by the
fixes
buil-
it.
that building owner. According to the drawing I have. And then. The big spend, now, I've got this in here, in 2026, so you can see it. But it's definitely a big decision for council, whether or not it's a project that goes forward, if it's one we wanna do, if it's one that's necessary, but Kohler pool replacement and youth center improvements, 4.75 million. That's for a new pool in rehabbing the youth center. So that decision is coming up. I have it on my, I've got hand marks on my sheet, that says I went over with the mayor and I've got it asterisk, because unlike something like the, library roof, or like, for example, the DPW roof, which are, in my opinion, projects that you can't let go, because you're maintaining existing infrastructure that's required to operate the city. Fuller Pool is more of a optional thing. The city won't fail if Fuller Pool is closed, but if you guys decide it's necessary, to be aware that it's a big cost and keeping it.
What about the splash pad?
And you guys do have, that's in the previous year, we got that bonded, we're ready to go on that. That's at the kiddie pool, closed kiddie pool portion of it.
And as far as the pool goes, for the improvements, that 44.7. That's the repair cost? or
That's
is
the
that
new
replacement?
Brand new
repairs
pool.
2.5 million.
Repairs.
So, and you guys also have a study which shows that, you're looking at a cost to the city taxpayer of a little over $100,000 a year to full operational for 7 weeks.
Not much.
16,000.
And even if you start looking at the grant money, I mean, I know they made the announcement on the other side of the canal, that was significantly more than
Yeah,
$4.7 million, but the amount that they got in grant money was minimal.
yeah.
It barely made it down to possible.
And that's. Just so you guys are aware, I've got the revenues shown below. I don't have any revenue for that. So that's not to say that there's not some grant out there that can fund a portion of this.
Well, we're filing for it now, so there's. a
Yeah.
couple grants out there.
But even if we had 100% grant where we funded the whole thing, you're
These
still
are only
looking at
2 or
spending
3
$100
million.
grand a year. In chemicals and labor costs and things. That, and let me just be clear, that was operational costs, less revenue. The actual operational costs were higher in that study. I don't have the numbers, I don't have the study with me, but you guys all have a copy of it. Yeah, I'm just gonna say it's 150 operating costs with 50,000 revenue or something, and then 100 subsidized by the city. And those numbers are made up. The $100,000 net operating cost is not made up, the example I.
That's above and beyond the revenue that we have for.
Correct. Yeah, how much these costs. I've also got in here. Force main replacement at Fillmore Ave. I don't want to move that yet. That's potentially something that could move, but I don't want to move it yet until I get. Flow meter data, get that study completed and take a look at that. I've also bumped, I know John's probably sick of seeing this project as much as I am, but the Millstream Pond Storm Sewer, that's $350,000 under 2026 sewer fund project. That's to replace the corrugated metal pipe that's between the pond and Millstream and ties to that creek that goes behind the fire chief's house. On Luxon and can't do the other name, Limbrook. That, the issue with that is, and this has been on there, I keep pushing it back year after year after year after year. Because what happened was when that neighborhood was built, that was an open ditch that the pond drained through to connect to the other creek. The residents didn't like the open ditch. And maintaining it, it was owned by the residents. So we put this corrugated metal pipe in and buried it. Problem is, we did that and we didn't take easements. So there's a legal issue that I can't go on there and have a contractor working on private property. People have since built fences and sheds where they shouldn't have, but we never formalized the easement. So that ownership issue has to get resolved so we can do this. Problem is, we've got corrugated metal pipe, which is failing, and it's not gonna last forever before there are collapses. So it's something that has to get addressed and sorted at some point, but until I get direction, I just keep pushing until, you know, there's a sign that, hey, you can't push anymore, you gotta do something.
And to be clear on that, the responsibility lies on our city attorneys that for legal.
It's a legal property issue that has to be resolved.
And is
Certainly
that-
not an engineering issue.
This is going on for years.
Yeah,
Yes.
and is that in process, is there any resolution, is there any work being done on it? That we know
Not that I know.
Didn't we send communications to some of the homes way back when?
It's been so long. I didn't-
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't want
this is going on for.
Yeah.
ever.
of, what's I'm saying, there's a couple,
Couple
projects being held up by.
have
They-
you
by the
followed
attorney.
up with,
By the city attorney.
followed up,
Let's call it what it is.
have you talked to Mike about it?
Not recently, it's probably been a few months anyway, since I've reminded him about it, but. I bring it up probably 3 or 4 times a year. Maybe more.
And in a case like that, especially if it's nearing a catastrophic situation, is that something you can seek outside counsel and outside legal?
I actually think we did.
I mean,
Way
It'll probably be shipped out to somebody else anyway.
I-
For triple the
I
cost.
think it was years ago. I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna speak on behalf of Mike, but
Yeah, so that's. Something that has to get resolved, I guess, so like we can take action on that. The other portion of that project that you don't see on there that you have been, there were 2. $75,000 projects. You guys don't have these because I pulled these. But you know, along with the storm sewer in Millstream is just dredging the pond in Millstream that needs to be done as well. That was a $75,000 project, but DPW said they could do that in-house. So that's why you won't see that anymore, even though you've seen it for several years. And then the Delaware storm sewer study design work, that was also 75. We're gonna do that in-house too, though. In engineering, so that's
What was the other one? Pond dredge was 75?
pond dredging was 75 and then Delaware storm sewer.
Is that a one-time thing or is that?
we do it every year. No,
That'll
not
be
every year.
we just got videos in, so we have to review all the videos and come up with whatever we see that needs to be fixed. To put a project together and then bid it.
But that, you said the DPW is gonna do that in-house too, the Delaware storm sewer.
No, we're doing that design, you know, so that'll have to be done by outside contractors when the work happens. But we're gonna do the evaluation report and design in-house.
Any other questions?
I got one question to circle back on you with the solar panels. You still need to pay 3 times, once to remove it, once to store it, once to install it.
Mhm.
I'm going to put them back on, we'll just remove them and sell them or throw them out.
In our contract.
It's in our contract.
So we have to keep them.
Yep, for
Yeah.
20 years.
And put it back on.
20
The
contract.
contract that was signed years ago.
There's nothing in the contract about covering the storage, removal, and replacement. There's.
It's all,
Yeah,
it's
it's in
it's
there.
in
I
there.
would say,
Yeah, it's in there.
absolutely. I do have a company that
But I mean, that, what's in there is that we're responsible for the city.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
we are responsible, but I know the company today because the contract just infuriates me that we allow that to happen. So this company is gonna take all our information, share that with them, and, we just said, help us get out of this somehow. So he thinks there's a clause in there that will allow him to purchase what we've got. It might cost us, $100,000, $200,000, I don't know, but we're relieved, we're paying $90,000 a year right now for it. 90,000, we're getting basically no return, we're not breaking even. So the equipment's getting older, it's getting less effective, the panels, so we're looking into that, and it doesn't cost us a cent until we make a decision. So as long as he can do that research for us, review the contract, see what we've got. I can't give it to Mike, so I want to let this guy to do it.
We actually did look into it and we are breaking.
We are looking at
Breaking even what we pay right now. But once we have to pay to remove, store and reinstall.
Oh, yeah.
We're taking a huge hit.
Yeah,
it. Every time. We've already done it once. How long
it's
is
a
the
20
contract?
year, probably got another 70
Is it
years,
26
years left. But I don't wanna get off topic here, I wanna
No.
stay,
No, but I want to explain what it was.
yeah, we'll stay on topic.
So for 27, I've got a couple more asterisk projects. And just so you guys are aware, I do have the engineering vehicle being replaced in 27, that would be 13 years old. My last two vehicles I had were police vehicle hand-me-downs. And after, for each vehicle at the 13-year mark was when the frame had rusted through and they got yanked off by DPW, they got pulled off the road. So I've got it in here at 13 years, thinking the same thing would happen. I really don't care if I can drive it for 16 years, great. If I get 14, it doesn't really matter to me, but I know that those past two vehicles have rusted through and were deemed unsafe to be on the road after 13, so that's why I've got it in there at 13. When we get close, we can certainly push it until they're.
And if it's not, DPW will tell you that it's not fit. any-
That's usually what'll happen, go in for an oil change or whatever, and they'll get up on the lift and they'll say, yeah, you're not taking this back out on the road.
Many vehicles do that for
One,
One, not just-
one, as of 2008.
it is a. No, it'd be a 14,
So level 14, what is it?
it's a Equinox. The three asterisk projects I have are the Fuller Street Overlook. That was part of the docks project that we ended up having to drop. Not like that, not necessary, it's cool to have, but. So I'm keeping it on there, just. To get grant money, we can do it for free, great, but it's not necessary spend. Cooler Pool Park improvements. That was, doing a pavilion, playground, pickleball, and additional parking where the softball field is behind Cooler Pool. 911 Park bathroom upgrades, that was to replace the two aging bathrooms in 911 Park.
And I think we got $50,000 from Assemblyman Conrad for that,
That never came to.
that didn't.
No,
Okay.
never been through. I meet with him next Friday, talk about it.
And then the project which I would consider necessary, and I kind of arbitrarily put it in 2027, but. If we could do it earlier, greater, if we could do it a little later, greater, but it needs to get done is PD window replacement project. So that project for City Hall, we've bid out, we're doing submittal reviews and things like that now. They're gonna be ordering windows and we're gonna install them in the spring, they're gonna be storing them, but that only covers our non-glass block windows on, from basically where courts is, from where the judge's office is, over, it does not include PD. Except for the detective's office, downstairs. So. That's something I wouldn't wanna, if we can't get grant funding by 2027. It can slide a little bit, but I really wouldn't wanna slide that too far, these windows are garbage. When you got ice building up on the inside of the windows in the offices, they're pretty bad. Some of them leak, there's water, if the window's a certain way, water will get in through the window. They need to be replaced. So also, just you guys are gonna see this under sanitary sewer projects continually. I've got phased investigation and then construction starts in 2027. That is placeholders city right now for those, so everybody knows we did this 10-phase sewer improvement project. We are now doing post-construction flow metering and reporting, and that report will have to be submitted to the state. They'll review it. We will most likely be under a new consent order with a new 10-phase project. I don't know where that's gonna go. That's gonna involve quite a bit of negotiation with the PUC, because at this point, we've fixed what we can fix that the city owns. And, you know, for every foot of sewer that the city of Tonawanda owns, there are 3 feet of sewer that residents own. That's the laterals tied to the house that we're not touching. And, you know, we've got, I think you've seen some of the lines I brought in that sample. It's a solid pipe that goes from manhole to manhole with no joints, no way for water to get in, aside from the holes that we've punched to get sanitary sewage from the residents. It's function as a sanitary sewer. So anything that's coming in that shouldn't be coming in is coming in from the private side of this. I don't know what those negotiations are gonna entail. I don't know if we can focus them on letting us maybe improve our storm sewer system to keep off the back of the residences. But I just wanted something in there placeholder wise, because most likely we will be under consent again. Within a couple of years, I'd say.
Any questions for Jason at this point?
Thorough as usual. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks.
All right, thanks, Jason.
Yep.
Chief. Chief, how are ya?
Chief.
Good evening, guys.
Morning, sir.
Doing well.
All right, specific questions for the chief on his budget.
I do. You know, my questions. Yes, sir. Addressed since September 23rd, trying to get a tally from the volunteers about. Whether they get, you know, the 7,500, and you're not getting a response, and neither am I. You know, and we've been in great communications, and I appreciate that with you and your secretary, but I'm not going any place with the volunteers to say, where's the money going? That's all we want to know. I mean, and I look at it as ex-cap. Are we ignorant of the idea? Are we mad? Something going on that, you know, it's not kosher? Or somebody that's got the money? I don't know. I mean, very simple request. All you gotta do is come up, what your budget, you know, is. What they spend. And then, you know, and I look at it and say, do we make another recommendation that possibly they get, I know you're inundated with everything you do, is that you control the money and they give you an invoice. You know, I know I met with them last spring, but for the last month and a half, I've got nothing. One from, I believe was Niagara, called me, says, oh, our sprinter's on vacation, and he gets back in a week, we'll get the information to you.
There's actually no comment from the public.
And it's very, I don't think it's that hard to come up with what they have spent. I personally don't.
Especially we've been asking for it for 6-7 years.
I mean, we got some at the end of the last, or the beginning of last year, but that was it, and it's not on you. I mean, you can't pull the teeth. And if, you know, I look at it and said, and I think I said we don't get a response, and how do I send them 75 as a person that can vote for that 7,500 to go to each volunteer company? I can't do that. Everything else in this budget, just like we heard from the engineer, you know, boom, 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 okay, fine, all right? But that's my point, and you know that. We've
And I
talked
understand,
immensely.
and I do understand, it's a tough spot for me to be in too. Because we're a combination department. And people are everything to our department. So we don't have enough people doing this as a community to get the job done. And so my fear is that we're gonna be understaffed. Get ourselves in trouble, over our head, hurt, injured. So I wanna make sure we keep the doors open for the volunteers. It's such an important thing. And it's not something local to our city, nationally, there's just a really hard time with recruitment and retention.
Have you talked to the presidents about an invoice? Have you talked to
So
them
I
about?
have, so
previous to this meeting, before I put the budget together, I've been working on this budget for quite a while. I've had some discussions with them. And we are under the understanding that in the beginning of the year in March is when they normally would turn in the expenditures. Their treasurers work throughout the year preparing their books. And they, as per resolution, turn them in March, so you guys can make a decision in April for the stipend. And they often refer to the stipend as, it's like a contract, like if it's really not my business per se to know where they put their money. But they're providing a service for the city, in return for that stipend. So with that, these early discussions I had, and it's hard for me to even bring this up at this point, but everybody else in the city's gone up 4%, cost of living, cost of everything has gone up. So, I agreed to add 4% to that 75. In the budget that I proposed and submitted, they're at $7,800 a piece in return for the service that they provide. I won't argue that there's going forward, maybe there's a different way we can go about this. But it's important to me to keep these doors open, to make sure that we have people to do the job. And right now we have 2 active volunteers that can put the gear on and help us. They're not interior certified, but they can put gear on, which, the gear is expensive too, but we purchase the gear, we send them to their medical evaluations. And we have 12 fire police. We have a rehab squad that we're trying to reassemble, the chaplains. So altogether, there's 61 people in the department that, I have to look after to bring all these pieces together to make it work. So
I remember if we go back to last spring or whatever, we said if they ever needed more money, come back to us. Is that not what was said? I mean, in Congress, if there's a need, we've got to provide the need. I agree, just like our auxiliary police. Told, I don't want nobody getting hurt.
Right.
Nobody getting hurt.
Right.
But I mean, if there's a need, the show is sit there and say, this is what we spent. It's all I asked for. And they don't want to come across. I got problems with you don't want to come across. Very simple. It's a very simple task. If you got a ledger, you got a whatever document, you computer guys, spreadsheet, there you go. How's that for dollars? You have a spreadsheet, boom, 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 you know how much you spend to this one.
Right.
So,
And I think that speaks to what you were saying, how everything is going up, right? So,
Yeah.
I know my electric bill is going up at home, my gas bill is going up at home. And for years and years, we've been told, oh, this just keeps the lights on in our building. This just keeps the lights on. Well, if it's just keeping the lights on, where are the bills that they're paying with that money? And to say that there are 2 active volunteers. And then increase for what? For what? I mean, if there's more fire police and those folks need more money for their service, then let's shift that money over to them. So that they can be well funded and keep people safe and rehabbed and everything else. But I'm getting increasingly frustrated with these volunteer departments who have 2 people active in it, and we're giving them the same money as we're giving people if we have 15 people active in it.
But there's a heck of a lot more than they do than that. I mean, every time we have a function, we call them, and they're to help us with traffic.
I understand that, and that's what I mean about that's exactly what I'm saying. Then if the fire police need more money, then that's where that should be going.
They help us out a lot in so many instances.
Yeah.
When the trees went down during the storm on Main Street, they came and sat there.
And I think you could make a case, you can make a very good case for increasing the funding to fire police.
Yeah.
Cause they're there for every single thing. Look at the fiasco on Halloween over in Elmwood Park. Imagine what that would have been like if we didn't have the help.
I mean, they do a great job.
They do a great job, but there could be some restructuring. So right now, each member is one of the 4 companies.
Fire police are.
Yes.
So we don't have a separate fire
No,
police
there's
crew.
not, so but
Fire
like
police
what
are
you're
integrated
saying,
into the 4 companies.
there could be restructuring going forward. But right now, they're each members of the 4 companies, so they
So
represent.
that's where it's getting mixed in.
It is, yes. So they are contributing
That's fair.
active members per company, and each have so many. I have a roster that indicates exactly where they're all members. I can forward that to you, I can hand it to you right now. if you wish.
think you gave me a best of that.
Yes,
You say there's 2 active members you were talking about, but that's not counting Fireflies, then you have Fireflies.
Two, so when you're talking, for firefighter responsibilities, they go through different training, different, physicals, and they have the gear as per NFPA. So there's two that can help us on a fire scene right now. Today,
In addition to the Fireflies that are coming to the fire
Fire-
scene to block the streets and do all that.
correct, they go above and beyond the fire police, it goes without saying all the things they do, so, but they are not, participating in active firefighting.
But they're active members of those.
Yeah.
They're just
And that's where the language is a little tricky with
Yeah.
the resolution that's put
Yeah.
forward each year, active members, whatever the active.
So an active member could also be, you call it something, not Red Cross,
So we have, there's a lot of people wrapped up in those 61 people,
Yeah.
such as the chaplains.
and there's also another position.
Do we have,
Rehab's another position. Where these people come to the active fire, but they set up tables or blankets or something of that nature.
yes, and.
So they're out there.
They're out there, they could help out with, different events, so if there was, training, they could help prepare food, if there was, something with the homeless initiative, they would be able to assist with that, they do a lot more than what you would think just going to the fires.
Understand. The whole thing is like,
To me, it sounds like everything's justified. It's just that we're asking for the report.
just report. That's all we want to report. I know it's very hard to get people volunteers, even, I don't, it's police, fire, whatever, even if
Right,
you look all around Western New York, the volunteer companies are screaming. For, more people get involved and it just doesn't happen anymore.
so,
I understand that, but all it is a simple report.
Chief, can you send the council a list of who the presidents are for each of the volunteers?
just like,
Where's the 30,000 for that?
So
So-
47 something.
this budget here is, the volunteer budget, it's wrapped into the volunteer budget line.
Well, yeah, I got 2 different spots right, I got the old one and this one.
So my personal breakdown, keeps it itemized.
Well, volunteer service, yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. I don't have the page number.
Yeah, it's,
Oh, I do.
it's 46,750. That's the 30,000, which is 7,500
So-
times 4 that we give them.
If this is approved, this proposed budget, it would be $31,200, which would be divided out $7,800 per company.
Okay, so 7,800 per company. Okay, then what's the other one?
So we have turnout gear in there. Now, you can look at the budget that we have going forward this year, that we're working on this year. We have 5 sets of turnout gear, and if we don't spend that, it goes back to the city. So to accommodate hopefully new recruits, I put 2 sets of gear. I had to reduce it to accommodate where we're at in the city, just the overall reduction. So I got 2 sets of gear. It's $3,700 a set of gear. Helmets, gloves, and then you have to go for the physicals, the interior certified physicals, chest x-rays, and everything that we have to go through as a career in that. So that is the balance of the expense and uniform expenses. That will make up the balance of that money. So I'll read you what is there. Per company. I built in some stipends, as they go through some of this training, there's stipends offered to them, it's reimbursed. OSHA physicals, respiratory fit tests, the fire police have to go for their physicals, x-rays, EKGs, and then we have $3,700 for 2 sets of gear. The bailout systems for $210 a piece, helmets, boots, gloves, Hep B shots, fire police PPE, fire police equipment, rehab supplies, uniforms. Association, I'm sorry.
That all comes out of this 46,000?
Yes, sir, it does. And then there's a cancer benefit program for $800 for for New York State that we have to pay into as well.
I mean, service is justified, like we said at that meeting in whatever month that was, March, whatever. I just don't understand the wall we run into when we ask for the.
Can we meet with each of the department heads, Chris, you're the
Chris
liaison?
is the fire liaison, so once we get the
Yep.
list of who the presidents are, Chris, why don't you reach out and
And all four of them to come here.
Also, I
if
think
it's warranted, maybe
last
have
year you
conversations
guys, you
beforehand.
selected a company too, right? You were the liaison of
Yeah,
individual
but
companies?
I don't know if
Okay.
we all met with them
Okay.
last time around.
I met with Nationals, I met
Yeah,
with the
I don't-
Nationals, they requested, I went
Yeah.
to, whatever, we spent about an hour and a half with them.
Chris
I
is the
did.
fire liaison. Email the list of the presidents. Chris will reach out, because we gotta turn this around rather quickly. Chris, I'd ask for a copy of the statements. We can bring them in on the 19th.
Of November.
Yep,
One of the things we talked about back in March was we approved the 7,500. And we said we weren't going to approve it again unless we got an itemized list. That itemized list is not due until February, if I'm correct.
Mark,
As per the
Yeah.
resolution, it requires them to turn it into by March.
right.
Right, this is due by February, it goes to you by March, you kick it to us, we review it.
Yeah.
And the fight that we had last time was, I think, one of them was like, the 7,500 was 3,000 something change miscellaneous fees.
Yeah.
Miscellaneous expenses. So we said we wanted better bookkeeping.
Mhm.
So what are we asking for now? Like when I'm reaching out to these fireheads, what are we asking?
Well-
Up to date, what expenses they incur.
Councilman Sheasley asked for, an itemized list.
What they don't do it, can they do it yearly, in theory?
yeah, they got it.
I just have to make that.
Can be done.
Officially, to change it right now,
Go from January 1 to, I asked them to send to September. That's what I asked, to give you time to throw it out there, just to see where we're at, just to
We
try to have some semblance of control.
but I do commend you for reaching out on that, because this is the time to change that, not when it's into the budget.
Well, now we're asking for them, so you're saying once we approve the line, they're gonna be here in February asking for their 7,800 regardless of the accountability. You're saying now's the time to ask for the accountability. And
Now,
adjust the line.
if we want to restructure, this is the time to do it.
Do it.
Not when it's in the budget and it's kind of, it's in motion.
We believe they're warranted, we believe the need for it, we just wanna get better accountability, is what I'm saying. I mean, even I talked to Adam said, worst case scenario, have them come to him with the invoices and he'll pay it out. I said, I mean, worst case scenario, and I think they can do it in-house themselves. I truly do.
I think they're honorable people, it's just the idea, why not a response?
That's fine.
If I'm dealing with somebody else's money, I'm gonna throw it on the table, I'd like these things splitting. Partly, because if they need more or need a vehicle or whatever we have to do for it, just let them safe, every one of them. You know, hopefully we have the correct gear for all your men and women, you know, that is putting nobody in danger. Never want that.
So here's a question, 7,500 that's current in this budget, and we're asking for these tallies that we're gonna ask for before November 19th. What if they don't spend the full 7,500? What if they're only at like $3,000 right now and they're looking at only being at $6,000 by March? What do they do with the extra 1,500? It's theirs, but we gave it to them as a stipend, like every other stipend in the city.
Right.
So can they put it in the bank? Do they have, is it use or lose? Do they have to spend it? Is the person in that position where they have to buy a bunch of batteries just to spend the money?
No, they put that into their bank account and go for whatever functions are going forward, that's their money. And that's why it's been indicated that it's not up to me to decide how they spend it. It's up to us to pay them for the service that they provide for the city.
But I would guess that each company has larger needs, so if they put money in and they carry it forward, maybe explain where the needs are coming, maybe they money can go towards it.
And that's the justification.
They're for profit.
Look at how short we are, we need another $5,000.
Right.
Justify this.
Right.
So they can continue to fill the fund, so. That's why we can't open up their books, like when they do a charter sale, because
Exactly.
but that's why we're giving a stipend.
Sure.
Right.
So to that point, it's almost like once we write the check for the stipend,
We're screwed.
there's no, we can't really even ask for a contract, it's kind of just like, here's the money, we bought the service.
I haven't asked for their bank accounts.
I don't think you can, but I think the problem is, I don't think you can.
I know it, but I wanna know before we give them money, where is it going? Because they, as you said, if they spend 3,000, there's 4,500, 4,700 going to a bank account that might have 6 figures or more. I don't know, and I don't really care.
In the past, what the information that we've been given is this money covers. Keeping the lights on, insurance, keeping the lights on, things like that. If there's overages, it's not. I would even venture a guess to say it's probably not even hundreds of dollars if there's an overage. Right, because you have to think about how much. They spend out in keeping their lights on, right?
Right.
But I think the justification to say we need a ledger account. If they can come like this, we know this is beating a dead horse, because we said this in March. If you come to us with a ledger that's in the red, that is justification in our face that says, this is why we need more money. And it's an easier sell to everybody to say, listen, the fire department, volunteers are down, their numbers are up, they need more, gear. We have to add to their budget, and I can justify it because I can go down the line and say, here's the bill.
Right, and that's all you're trying to do.
And that's all we're trying to
And
do.
it's a tough spot, and these questions cross my mind all the time.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
But I have to circle back to that big picture that I have to try to keep the people, we have to have trained firefighters, so that's why. We go out on a limb to, keep the doors open on this. And hopefully, fingers crossed, it turns around and we get a bunch of.
Chris, get your stuff
Alright,
together.
so just send us the list, Chris, we'll reach out, go from there.
Either name and email or name and phone number. Then I'm gonna send them a request for all four of them, the four presidents, right?
Correct.
To get all four here. 19th.
Okay.
Is the vote for the budget of the 19th?
Yep.
So we're gonna
Yeah.
talk to them during the informal
Mhm.
and make our.
Any other questions on the chief's budget?
We covered a lot of volunteer stuff, thank you. I just want to say, looking at the budget this year, it's remained pretty consistent. Did a good job of keeping it tight. But I think every year we kind of ask, I kind of ask a lot of the questions, don't you?
Yes.
And sometimes maybe I just phrase them the wrong way, so I don't need to get it. But in a public forum like this, some questions that are both, how many guys do you have in town of those? 20. The area of full capacity, executive experience.
No, I'm,
For the staffing minimum.
yeah, I'm looking to get more people. But this is not the time, this is not gonna happen now, but we need more people to balance our shifts off, so we can have a safer response.
And how many people are working that shift? Or how many man shift do you have? I remember
We have 4
or 5.
platoons with 6 people on each shift.
So each shift is running a 6-man shift.
Right.
Okay, is that
What-
including you
what that
or
includes-
including the chief of the assistant chief?
It does not include me. So each platoon is run with 6, but there's usually always somebody off with vacation, personal leave days. Sick leave, so. With
So
that,
6
we,
is often realized as 5, or
Correct.
is there somebody coming in?
correct,
and
we're working
overtime.
short staffed at 5. The optimal staff would be 6 to do the job correctly. To at least get out the door and start initial operations. We need the off-duty response to supplement as well as the volunteers. So if we reduce our working force, we're gonna have less people respond to off shift as well, which could put us at a greater liability.
Chief, what is the union support?
27.
Where are the other 3? These are the 6 fours.
So we have a training officer, or a municipal training officer is responsible to train everybody in the code. We have a fire prevention officer who oversees the inspections that our department conducts. We conduct multiple dwellings, public assembly, and businesses.
Are any of those functions revenue generating?
Yes, we do collect a fee for each of those inspections, as per the city charter. As well as, you guys are talking about building inspection fees and we increased our cost recovery fees. For vehicle accidents.
Do they actually pay it?
We sold, on the books right now, we brought in $14,000 for cost recovery, and this is insurance companies paying. For our response, it's built into their insurance, so we collect on that, so right now, as of today, we have $14,000 on the book, just over. We have to pay an 18% fee to the third party billing company, So we don't bill in-house, this is billed through certified ambulance, they collect 18%. So they collected $2,600, so in fact. We're $11,000 above what's projected in the budget's revenue. Now Adam raised that for next year up to $2,000, but we're already at 12 this year. So it
Is it-
helps.
You have a third party collecting that for you.
Yes.
Do you know what percentage of what is billed is coming in as collected?
So 18% is the fee.
Is there a fee?
Right.
But I'm saying, I guess if there was $100,000 in fee out of there.
Well,
I'm not even posing it that question, I'm just saying, we say it's getting paid by the insurance, but if there's people in an accident that is underinsured.
If they don't pay, they don't pay, they might get several phone calls through that
Sure.
company, but if they
That's
don't
my
pay.
question is I think I was concerned about that when we first passed this resolution, and now you're getting a bill from the fire department, to save your life. And these poor people are sitting on a bill that could be crushing them financially or going to collections.
I was gonna say, do they send it to collections? Does that company, that third party company send it to collections?
I don't think they do now, they just continue to get it, and if they don't get it, it goes uncollected.
I was
If they sell that off to a third, collection agency, I honestly.
We're gonna circle back to the other fees that you're talking about, though. You said like the inspection fees for the multiple volume.
Yes, we charge, there's a fee to offset some of our times, paper, return trips. It's $100 that when we do an inspection, so businesses are required to have a fire safety inspection every 3 years. The fire department is responsible to do that. We charge them $100 every 3 years. They get a certificate saying that they're compliant. When they are compliant, they can show their insurance company that and hopefully get a reduction in insurance.
So like we sat down with the building inspector a couple of council meetings ago, we had him revisit his fee schedule. Is that something we could
I
revisit?
just did.
He did.
In January, we just increased it, but it wasn't astronomical. It was to the point where we're kind of matching every other community around us in Western New York.
It's
So
funny, it's actually-
it comes out of the insurance. It's not like a direct hit.
Yeah, no one knows, yeah.
I know, I looked up.
In regards to, I mean, even if writing tickets, like for penalties, for breaking the law, and going through a stop sign or something and crashing into another vehicle, you're gonna write that person a ticket, they're gonna pay some money for it. This is to offset the cost that we have to expend to go to the call, put the speedy dry down, take care of the patient, extricate them if need be.
Are there any final questions for the chief?
Yeah, I just like to circle back on the staffing again. So we're talking a 6-man shift, out of that, we have headquarters, and we have the Village Street Firehouse.
Yes,
How is that split up between the two, and how does that affect?
it works out great. First of all, there's not enough room in fire headquarters to put all our equipment, apparatus and people. So these two stations are important to the city. It divides the city up. With that, we have a staffed engine on that side of the city with 2 people on it at all times. For safety reasons, there's always 2 people. So the captain and the engineer work off that engine. They can respond to any first aid call on the west side of the city. And if we have a second call on the other side of the city, the other engine is gonna be staffed with 2. Then I have a boss that's gonna be working between the 2. And if there's a fire, they're gonna come together as a crew and start initial operation. So it is working. And
So as the fire liaison, one of the, myself, Sean and Jim have been working on is working with, Assembly Member Bill Conrad to get $100,000 grant for you. And I know we talked about 3 pieces of equipment, the battery operated jaws of life, the UTV that could transport, and some air packs. Getting close to $100,000, so the Assembly Member can write us a check for that. You said that's in the budget? You put that in here?
so I have a handout here. I just didn't want, this further explains everything, every line that adjusted I made in this budget. So I'm gonna hand this out to you. On the last page of it, this is a list that I give to the mayor in the beginning of the year. Now, you guys are talking about wants and needs, and that is a really good benchmark, just to think about it in that perspective. So wants, these are kind of, the first 5 things on this list are things that the fire department wants. Gender privacy facilities, alarm room upgrade, volunteer fundraising, for recruitment and retention, training props, fire prevention props. That was kind of our wants. This has never been put into the budget because we understand the tight budget that we have to work from and we have to prioritize. So we've gone for grants for command and shelter for the privacy facilities. We were unfortunate not to get that. But it's one of the things that our department would benefit from. With these cuts, so this budget was tough. You asked us to cut 5% off of 24's budget, which was tough. 85% of our budget is contractual. So we increased by almost 5% with the benefits and everything. So now we have to go down 5% in there. So we had,
Can you hand us what you have so we
Yeah.
can look at it? And then with respect to everyone's time, I know we have DPW and parks coming up, so I want to make sure the council asks the questions that they want to ask.
But I've got a problem with what you just said. We're up sitting down with Conrad next week. I would appreciate, since I run the day-to-day, you let me know if you're working on some of the grants, because if we start crossing, it's gonna be counterproductive.
Yeah, so, well, that's kind of where I have the question. Over the years, we've been fortunate in our city to have some great representatives from Schimminger to Bill Conrad to Sean Ryan, and even Bardisi that have brought in funding for emergency services.
right,
So I guess, is there an active process? And yeah, I hear the mayor saying, you're putting out grants, but I'm asking for stuff too. Is there some sort of working together, some collaboration
The
that's saying, look,
process
these are
is,
your wants?
come to the mayor's office, let me know what you're doing, and I'm
Right.
really happy.
Yeah,
go
well, I mean,
for it.
there's
I didn't even know.
But there's a time to ask for it, there's a budget period, and I
Right.
often, I have some of these officials reaching out to me because.
But you let
They
me know
know.
that, you did.
And I do let you
It's a
know
splash
that.
pad.
But I'm
Just
saying
let me know.
oftentimes there's opportunity out there to ask for things, I'm just making
I
sure that
love it.
our department head and our mayor is
Yeah.
collaborating together. To reach out to these officials. I mean,
Well,
there's
and I think
often
that's why we have
funding available.
liaisons.
It's gotta
That's
be
correct. So
communication.
when I had this conversation with the assembly member Conrad, I then, as a liaison to the fire, called the fire and go, if he was to give you 100,000, because in sum, he said, he's not giving you 10 grand for a battery operated jaws of light. He wanted to package it to something greater. And we had a conversation about railroad safety. If we had an unfortunate accident like they had in North Tonawanda, the battery operated jaws of light, so you don't have to run hydraulic lines down there. Air packs, because now there's some kind of certification, the fire person, but there's some kind of certification now with the air pack that can be changed over.
yeah.
And then the UTV that can transport patients due to the footprint of Canal Fest, where you can then use your building. So with all that being said, I said to the assembly member, well, now's the time to strike while the iron's hot. And he said, package it together. So one of the things we were looking to do is put this together and see what our next steps are. At that point, then I would have brought it to you. But as of right now, I don't have anything in writing. I don't-
Yeah, because he's helped me put a flagpole at the Pelosi Pavilion. It just found out $5,000. He said, give me some smaller things. So I asked all the
Alright.
chiefs to give
I'd
me all
like to
the
stay on
wish
track
list.
here, so chief, if you could hand that around.
So have you, so the 100,000 for those types of equipment, is that in the budget, or no, we're waiting afterwards to see if we get that one?
No, with this budget, with our constraints and our reductions in equipment. I incorporated some of our needs into the wants on that last page, so some of this equipment here listed, I'm gonna hand this to you, Chief, now. There's some equipment that the P25 radios, we were unsuccessful with that grant.
Grant means.
But we still have to, but I removed them from the budget to a point where we're pushing this down the road. We're gonna have to hopefully get the equipment down the road, but if we don't have it, I'm sorry, I just need to- So I'm
Okay,
foregoing some of this equipment now, hopefully in the future. we'll turn around.
Let's just stop the pushing between the two councils. I push one way, he's pushing another way. I don't wanna drain these legislators and assembly people. Let's work together, communicate, so we can get this done in the correct manner.
So is this total 100,000?
No, well, it does not. These are the first 5 things that I gave to the mayor in the beginning of the year. That equipment is because of the reductions I made in our operating budget. But to stay on track, we have like an apparatus or, the apparatus replacement program was forfeited. So the UTV was scheduled in there for next year, and that would help us with Canal Fest, removing patients off the campus through a blizzard.
Sending it down railroad tracks if you have
Yes,
that covered.
Correct, and then those radios are per radio, so we were hoping to buy 4 per year. The SCBA's are per SCBA, we were hoping to buy 3 per year. We stay on track with NFPA's requirements.
Okay, any final questions for the chief?
I guess this could go off. On a side conversation, but the numbers here on there, is that? You're confident in accuracy?
Yeah, so.
Because that just doesn't seem like a heavy lift when you're talking about. More of a coming firefighters. I mean, I'm just looking at some of these. They're great ideas, great things that with the. State and county funding to help out.
So the battery operated jaws of life are on the list.
They're not, we have adequate jobs right now, I mean, like you mentioned, it would be more beneficial to have something that doesn't have to have hydraulic lines, but. We are equipped right now with the equipment to get the job done. So that would fall into more of a want than I need.
Thanks, chief.
Appreciate it.
Dave, come on up, please. Dave, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Any specific questions for Dave on the budget? Quite a lot.
Much as I could.
Thank you.
Clean up.
There's a line and maybe it's talking about this one, professional services for what, 600,000? Is that me?
Yeah, that's not bad. I would maybe told.
Shut up, Dave.
We're better Josh, I'm gonna come show, that's 600 grand.
Yeah, well, wait, you gotta have.
No.
No, I don't know, I had probably copied it on my other books. Sorry about that.
We're not even seeing how.
I have professional services for 1,000.
But no,
Most of it's been taken out.
yeah. Play the truth, find it out for both. But that's the another line in someone.
How do you see?
Oh, 10,000? Under the recreation one?
Yeah, we gave this too many projects.
Adam, do you know what the professional services line would be for DPW parks?
We have multiple professional, anything that's 600 plus, that makes me think probably like a contingency and or a liability.
I garbage disposal.
There wouldn't be a $600,000.
What they charge us, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, it's in the trash, the garbage.
Yeah,
trash.
right.
Yeah.
That's encompassing all of the,
What they
It's
charge us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's- I didn't know. Yes, I know,
That's a tipping fee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fees, dumping fees for heavies in the landfill.
we gotta make it simple for dumb people, you know. We're talented people.
Your duties, increase your responsibilities, increase your responsibility.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at this budget. Your task with both Parks and Rec, across the board.
Yeah. Adam Mayor.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're covering those departments, you're
Yeah.
covering.
Yep.
From programs to,
Well, I don't know necessarily about programs for recreational stuff, but sure, when it comes to just the parks department mainly, and obviously, you know.
Memorial Day observations of 1900, I was there, I didn't see 1900 spent. And that I know you don't know.
Flags.
Yeah, it was who invited me to do
Wreaths.
some kind of match on flags or something.
Right,
Yeah.
cemeteries, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, for the cemeteries,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
I thought the Legion does all the flags at the great.
No, we do a match on it.
Yeah, I think we do a split with the Legion.
Okay. I just seen that, I was there. Yeah.
a lot of your numbers range pretty consistent, some pretty substantial cuts. Are you? The cost of gas going up, the cost of salt going up, the tipping fees, are you confident that these are?
Cost of salt actually went down $50 a ton, so we saved a little bit there, that's why we cut that line so much. But, yeah, the tipping fees, I mean, that can go either way, it depends on how much stuff people throw out.
Same with gas.
Yeah, same with gas, I know gas fluctuates and, yeah, really kick our butts at the end of the year.
Are you comfortable with this budget?
How about the
Yeah, we
athletic?
only cut, sorry, but we only cut the things that we thought we could cut, so if I thought it needed to stay in or get raised, we did.
How about the athletic equipment under parks for $8,000? What are we buying?
Softballs,
Yeah.
We gotta provide the softballs for these leagues.
well, they pay, it's our league, they pay for the league.
Okay, all right.
There's a lot of them in my neighbor's backyard.
I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And I like the youth sport programs too.
It's no more like, you bring 2 balls to the game.
No,
I
no,
mean, there was years ago like that. You bring 2 balls to the game, that's bringing 2 balls. You know, what I mean,
No.
but that's when you just came up, that was pickup, they pay a fee.
no, that was in leagues, John.
They pay
Softball
fee.
leagues.
Any other specific questions for Dave?
Telephones.
Yeah.
How do you spend so much money on telephones?
The answer, man.
We spend 3,000 to have it over at the Parks Department. We spend 4,000 to have it at the Municipal Pool and Youth Center. We spend 4,000 to have it at the Senior Center. Yeah, why do we spend so much money? They're not VoIP phones.
It's internet, it's
It's not the phone, it's internet.
cable.
Yep, a combination of all.
Probably when I did DPW guys cable, wasn't doing cable.
It's basically IT.
For 7 weeks a year, at the pool, we still spend for full year. Full cable and all that.
How much was that?
Yeah, for my guidance that, we were given, it would be more expensive and more cumbersome to shut it off.
Shut it down, put it back.
Exactly.
Then you just leave it for the year with Spectrum's fees. I mean, we could look back into it more, for 25, but.
I mean, it's 45 weeks, I mean, just seems.
The building's closed, right? Is the building closed 25 weeks out of the year? Or
There's-
we winterize it?
Yeah, pretty much.
And then, but we're maintaining a $4,000 a year telephone, cable, internet line.
It's like a.
If
I know that good like that, because of the-
if it's a VoIP network, you would think they would just turn it off and prorate the bill.
We can look into it deeper, but what I've been told was that it'd be more costly and more cumbersome to shut it off than just leave it. I think you talked about it back in February.
Right.
In my first couple of months when I was here, we were talking about.
Yeah,
we should
you
shut it
gotta
off.
turn it back on.
And I think we ultimately, went back to, IT and. And they were.
You guys are floating the world.
Basically said it would be, except we can look back into it.
So we're paying roughly $330 a month. And we only use the building 2 to 2.5 months, so then for about 9 months, we pay $330 a month for 9 months, they just have the right to have a phone, the internet that we don't use.
Keep that phone.
Adam, you'll look into it and let us know.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
That's best I could do it. Like I said, in my first couple of months, I think the question was asked, that same question was asked, why do we pay for it at Fuller when we don't have anything going on there?
There's some consideration with being like networks finding a hub here and providing the internet service. That's not a job.
I thought in our spectrum agreement, they had to supply free internet to our municipal buildings.
No, it was, I think free basic cable at one point, which is pretty much, obsolete at this point.
Yeah,
It's through apps and everything else. They
right. Okay,
probably be better off paying for one service and having log into all applications. Have it streamed. If we are, that's probably something. we should address.
anything else for Dave? All right, Dave, thank you.
Thank you, David.
Chief, we're a little early, all right with that? All right, come on up.
Good to see you again.
All right, any specific questions for the chief on his budget?
You guys need a copy of that budget at all, or you guys did?
Yeah.
You cut your 5%?
Best I could do,
Okay,
best I could do.
any specific questions for the chief?
I do when it's no. voting you were able to sell a police vehicle that was. Obviously is in a very bad accident. Sitting on the back here.
28.
Yes.
Oh,
28.
28,
It
yeah,
is.
yeah. Yeah, the officer is good. There was a civilian vehicle that pulled out in front of him in an intersection. He just wanted to, speeding.
Does it, was that vehicle total? I mean.
I was told that the insurance company is gonna total, that vehicle, so we're supposed to be somewhere in the area of 32,000 for it. For the total, for it being totaled. That was a vehicle that I was looking to replace in 2025. Anyway, so it's probably only gonna cost us about 15.
Okay.
To put into that vehicle for next year. So that was one of the, yeah. I'm sorry.
How was the resident?
Good. I think they sustained a knee injury.
I'm sorry to go off track.
No, I appreciate
We'll actually
it.
have a definition by tomorrow if it's total or not. Okay. Just wait.
Yeah, just because the vehicle,
That was what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We needed to add a vehicle.
well, I'm hoping the insurance company comes through soon because we actually contacted the Lacy. They said they got a 2025, black 2025 on the lot right now. So if the quicker the insurance company moves, the quicker I can move to get that vehicle. So, and I might even be able to, honestly, I gotta check the numbers, but I might be able to squeeze it out of this year's budget. So,
Yeah, I think you have money.
I think I could definitely do that. So,
Chief, in the 2023, your vehicle was 90,000, and 25 was 144, that's 54,000
yeah.
increase in 2 years.
Yeah. So the 90,000, that, the Explorers were 45,000 a year. And, that year, Chief Strasburg at the time, he only replaced 2 vehicles.
Right.
Which were, probably, I'm guessing probably, well, it's 2 of the patrols, basically. They went up to 47,000, 47, I think it was 47,000. Yeah, it's 47,000 in 2024. So we replaced 21, 22, and the detective car. We're waiting for that to come in. But supposedly that they only started manufacturing that and the Expedition in October. So, yeah, so we've been waiting on it for a while. So that's why the cost went up to 141. And then 144, I had no idea. We kept trying to get a price from them on what the cost was gonna be this year. But the thing is that I have to replace some unmarked vehicles. Specifically, it's gonna be 26, which one of our SROs uses. That's our spare car also. And then 27, which is the SRO vehicle. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna trade them in because those are the oldest cars that I have. If I keep waiting, the thing is the Focus right now, Fusion, yeah. The Fusion, the SRO 27, we're only gonna get about $8,000 for that vehicle. Now, the Focus, the Patrol, we're probably gonna only get about 5,000. Now, if we wait another year, that's gonna be about $1,500 to $2,000 that we're gonna lose on it even more. So it's better that we try, to trade those out. 23 is going to go to an SRO car. It's gonna replace 26. And as far as the SRO vehicle, 27, 20 is gonna replace 27. So then this year I'll get a new 23, the 28, obviously. We were getting anyway, but obviously now, and then 20, new gas car.
Cost in there, the net amount of purchasing or the gross amount of purchasing of the vehicle, or is it a net amount of the trade-in or is the trade?
No, it's
Reflected in the revenue?
it's basically the value of the car, on the lot. We get a trade-in value. This year, I think we kind of got ripped by DeLacy a little bit, so I kind of want to look into other possible options. I think we should have probably got about 15,000 for these patrols to give us 11. And I wasn't really happy with that, but you're kind of at their whim. So yeah, we get a trade-in value, and so when we got the trade-in value, I'm guessing, I don't even talk to him, but I'm guessing that probably goes back into the vehicle when we get it, or is it going to general?
Because when we get the invoice from the dealer, it's for that.
Right.
But that's not there's not a revenue line for that.
Because like I said, so when I ultimately get the invoice from the dealer, it's gonna be for the 47 minus 17 trade-in, we're gonna get an invoice for 30. I mean, we're not gonna, we don't actually go and pay 47 for it and then get a check for 17 on the other side.
Right, yeah.
Right, so when I pay for the invoice.
Are we
it's gonna be-
estimating that cost? Are we basing the estimate versus that new car?
Budget is line, I think,
Yeah.
is just for the full price.
Yeah,
I
for
don't think we
the
budget
full
for
price,
every
cause I never know what they're gonna do as far as the trade. And they adjust that, then, you know, and at the end of the year, the money is still there. You know, I don't take money out of the vehicle line to, you know, other than switchovers, which I should have done this year, and I actually took it out of the maintenance line, so I'm kind of in the red on the maintenance line, because I use it for switchovers. I should say, but
They're all state bid cars, right?
Yep.
That's-
That's what goes to lease.
Still,
yeah, that's why I kind of want to look into possible other options, but yeah, I just wasn't, I don't know.
just for the trade-in.
Yeah, it just bothered me. It just bothered me.
What's the lifespan? 3 years?
We trade them in, let me think for a second. Yeah, it'll be every 2 years. We trade in the patrols. The patrols we trade in every 2 years. And then marked patrols, it just goes by how old the unmarked patrols are, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I try to get rid of the oldest, so we're not, you know, hopefully we get a decent trade-in value also.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the chief?
Yeah, but
Under special enforcement, there's a new line for 2,500. What is the 2,500 for?
well, that was put in last year. I had that set aside 2,500 specifically for SWAT. If their equipment goes down, I can't, you know, I can't be looking around and trying to find money to replace equipment. If their equipment goes down, they need to replace like immediately. So at least I have something there in order to replace equipment if need be.
So that's under this
Special enforcement equipment, yeah. I asked to be put in this year. So again, it just sits there. If there's specific equipment that they need, then it's there.
And then you have the award banquet twice, once under regular police department, and you have the other one under auxiliary.
yeah.
Why aren't those combined for one big banquet? Why isn't it two separate banquets?
Because there's the police, there's the official police, and there's auxiliary. So it's two different banquets.
Anybody have any questions for the chief?
Chief, how many people do you have active right now?
We're short 3, that puts us at 27. We're gonna be down to 26 once Captain Allman retires in January. Yeah, and so it's gonna be tough. We're not looking for again, we're still trying with the Erie County list. But I put 2 letters in to decline 2 individuals already. One had a massive drug history. I don't understand why he even attempted. And then the other had a massive VNT history, suspensions and revocations. And now we're actually down to like the 85s right now. Some are declining due to residency and but you know, there's not much we can do as far as that, but we're still kind of plugging away. So I'm not really looking, you know, for any relief probably until the exam comes back, which I'm guessing March, April.
When do they take their chief?
September.
They're put in September.
Yeah, September. Peeps exam came back in like 6 months, so that's why I'm guessing that we're not gonna see this price until March or April. So,
And then it's 18 months out.
yeah, once we get that list, see, this is gonna be the other problem, because once we get that list, we start going through the list, and if we get some candidates, it's trying to hold on to them, because some of them have crossed file with other agencies. So if other agencies go after them, you know, and they're like, hey, look, we can give you this much more, this. They might get pulled out, the rug might be pulled out from us as far as, so, you know, and the thing is, I can't put them on the books for like 4 months until the academy starts. Academy starts in August. Laterals would be nice, yeah, we're always, you know, we're always open for laterals, and we're extremely fortunate.
So running on your shifts, how many people per shift?
It could be anywhere from like 4 to 6. It just depends, you know, if guys are taking off or not taking off. And, but, you know, what really stinks is we still got a couple lines there just blanked out.
You have a dedicated amount on the road and inside or.
Yeah, we try, yeah, I make sure we have at least, we have a 4-man rule, but I make sure we always have 2 patrols and a lieutenant on the roll, at all times.
Of those numbers that you said of how many officers you have, officers and 7 captains. Do any of them live outside the city, right, or all of them city residents?
Chantel lives outside the city and Strome lives outside the city.
How is that possible? Do they have time to move in, or we're not requiring them to move in?
No, I gave exemptions. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to get officers. I'm allowed to give exemptions, which I told them I would if we found a good officer right now. We're working on changing our charter to a 5, 10, or 15-mile radius, whatever we're gonna choose. Right now, the committee's pretty much set on a 15-mile rule, but we don't have a choice.
Why
If I don't eliminate the residency, we're not getting nobody.
Why wouldn't you negotiate that in their collective bargaining agreement? Why would you do that as a charter change and just give it away for free?
Give one away.
Give away the residency requirement? Why wouldn't you negotiate that in their collective bargaining agreement, saying hypothetically, if you gave them a 1% raise and said they could move outside the city versus a 4% raise and they had to be a city resident, I just throw the numbers out there. But why would you want that as a charter revision so they could just carte blanche move out of the city?
It's in the charter right now. I gotta change that right now in the charter. I can't.
And then we go forward in the collective
And then I
bargaining
can do
agreement?
whatever I want and going into bargaining. I moved the charter. I gotta get it out of the charter right now.
I think it's a horrible idea to take it out of the charter. It's in the charter for a reason. That's a horrible idea.
It
I
was
bet everyone's
because there only had 25,000 people living in the city, and I would like a policeman living in my neighborhood, and the list was very long, but now, nobody wants to be a cop no more. That's number one, across the country. And number two is they don't want to move in the city, because I can move into Amherst in a much better location. So we're losing good police officers, and that's why I gave the exemption when Strasburg was here for 2 people, and we brought them in here, and now we got 2 people so far living outside, but eliminating the exemption outside, I live in a charter, then I can work with something else with the next
You
year.
say so far, so you intend to give more of these waivers out?
Well, no, if he can't, we're down 3 right now, we're gonna lose Captain Homer, we're gonna be down 4. And we got another one that's inactive because he can't work, he's disabled, so we're gonna be down 5 people. I mean, how much more do you wanna have pressure on these guys? And when they put that much overtime on them and we're working at them, they're gonna be less productive, they're gonna be less alert of what's going on around them. I don't wanna put us or them in that position.
Chief, it's a subjective question, but doesn't that break the morale of the other officers that are required to live here versus the newbies that are allowed to live outside?
You know, there's been some grumblings, but they've worked it out.
There's
It's-
wins and
They
losers,
understand the
wins and
fact
losses
that
both ways.
at that time, you know, I was down like 5 guys at the time, and these guys were getting hammered. You know, so, you know, the mayor gave an exception, you know, for these 2 individuals to live outside the city, so that upped their numbers, so.
And other individuals with a little bit more seniority than that from them, can they now apply for that waiver?
No,
So they're stuck.
no, yeah.
Currently, they're stuck.
Everybody that's in the city, everybody who came on under the understanding they had to be a resident of the city, that's still.
Now, once we change the charter, some of the people that may live here may wanna move out there. I can't stop with that.
We might as well go to the sheriff's department then, they're all living out.
Right, we might as well go to the clearance market and just do like sheriffs and troopers, then if you don't have.
You know what, try getting these officers in here. They're not available.
Relax, but I'm just telling you, is
I'm
that
trying to tell you,
we could bring the sheriff's department with 2 officers out there, and I'll never do this guy come from the blue. I would back these guys to the hill,
So do I.
but we could bring 2 sheriffs in there every day and save about $3 million. You know, I mean, it's
The
just,
service is gonna suck though.
the problem, I'm not saying, I don't know.
I'm not
You
arguing
know.
with you, I'm just saying the fact,
Right.
it's gonna suck.
Well, it's it.
Because there's gonna be less than a response time, because
Right.
they're not gonna sit here. They're gonna be
Right.
coming from Grand Island,
Yeah.
or from somewhere that's not gonna be the city of Tonawanda, so
Yeah.
services are gonna drop severely, and then you're gonna have a problem with the cities or.
Well, when they keep
citizens
moving
are
out,
complaining.
they keep moving out, the same thing.
15-mile radius and we
Well,
have a blizzard and you.
You're not
guys
gonna-
can't leave.
And
You're
if,
not gonna get them in here.
and if that does get patched, you're not gonna have a mass exodus of everybody on their farm, it's just gonna leave the city.
It's gonna be rotated trickling through attrition. It's eventually going
There,
to.
there may be. There may be.
Any questions on the specific budget?
This is budget related, it's salary related. We're paying salaries to people who don't live in the city.
Well, we don't know the final findings of the charter review commission.
So we don't have that right now. Right now, the
You got
charter says
two
we have to live in
officers.
the city and
You
we're
got
paying
two officers.
salaries to people who don't live in the
So
city.
he answered the question though, there were three, he's now.
Two to work
three,
every day, though.
four.
Report to work and they do a good job.
I got a vehicle question then. Have we looked at electric vehicles?
I would never consider electric vehicle, at least right now. Have you heard, like, if they get an accident, especially with all those batteries in their man, those things will just go up in flames. Yeah, they'll explode.
The amount of speed.
I would never
going in those
consider.
Cars, Chris, you're not gonna get 400 miles to it, and plus in the wintertime, you're gonna get less because you're dealing in snow. If we were out in California, that's different, but even look at the grids that go down in California. We have a charging station out here that's not operable 60% of the time. It's not worth it. It is our future, I agree. We're just not there yet.
Right. You'd have to come up with a better system for these. Yeah. When you gotta go, you gotta go. You can't be unhooking a vehicle and hoping it's charged.
How, do you think, canal facility this year?
It's just,
Financial.
I guess
overtime is
it's-
from-
It's gonna be the same. You know, because I shouldn't say that. It depends on what, if we have the same as every single year, then it's gonna be the same. We're gonna get hit. We got hit with 33,000 this year, you know, in overtime. If we cut it down to, you know, 3 or 4 days, if we look at the possibility, you know, that, you know, if NT wants the rides, cool. If we have kiddie rides like we had this year, or if we don't have any rides whatsoever and just have, you know, 3 or 4 days of it, that could make a huge difference on how many guys I have to put down. It really does, because it's all about safety, what it comes down to.
The option of outside help, sheriffs or otherwise still off the table with the union.
Yeah,
Gotcha. But we still had, everybody was willing, ready and able to work last year, but it seemed a little top heavy kind of.
it was,
That overtime with the top heavy. Your officers.
yeah, but you have to understand that too, is that I got patrol officers that are working split shifts constantly. So they're, you know, because we're down 3 guys. And so we've got patrol officers that are coming in, they're working an 8-hour shift along with their 4 and 2. And then they're coming in and they're splitting shifts. What I've noticed, the big trend I noticed right now is guys aren't coming in and working 8-hour shifts anymore. Everybody's just taking the splits because they're tired. They're tired. But they keep coming in. It just shows the dedication that they actually have. So then, yeah, Canal Fest comes up and, you know, a lot of guys signed up for it, you know, and yeah, lieutenants started signing up for it too, because there wasn't as much of the split shifts and, you know.
I guess just because you brought up the shifts,
Mhm.
I'm working like shifts.
Mhm.
Fisher has mentioned a few times, like the possibility of part-time
Yeah.
employment, you know, working with that. Is that a feasible option to kind of help give some of the relief, maybe bring some more people in?
Well, first, number one, Sean, that's contractual. So if we were to pass that contract with the union, you know,
That's a union.
then I would say, yeah, then I would say, okay, let's start talking about it, you know, but I don't think it's a good idea personally, because we've got to train these guys. They're not going to be here as often as a regular officer, so they're not going to know I should say the people that we deal with on the street on a routine basis. They're not going to know our city as well. Procedures, policy, how to do things as far as paperwork. The lieutenants are going to be responsible for that. So if they don't know what they're doing, then the lieutenants they're going to have to basically be their field training officers. So then we got to get in here for just regular training on top of that. So I could just see that, you know, ending up being just a night.
I appreciate
Yeah, I'm just being candid.
Another contractual question to piggyback on that, though. What about with the full timers negotiating? They're on 8s right now. What about 10s or 12s?
Be something we'd have to discuss. You know, I guess what they're working right now, I guess that's a possibility. We're still, yeah,
So we're going to be rotating, right? They don't fix days. They rotating days.
we're 4 and 2,
So it's
so we're 4 and 2, yeah.
so the days off.
And then every, the days off, yeah, rotate back 1 day each week.
Like the correction said.
But that would be more of a, probably a contractual.
Contractual, but if they went to 10s, that would change your minimum staffing power.
Yeah, but we have a contract already at 30, so 30 plus 1 is the contract.
Right, which would keep, but you would just put them on 10, so you'd have more staff per Yeah.
It's a possibility, if it's something that could be negotiated, then I'd have to work out the schedule for that, that's fine.
Any other questions for the chief?
Yes, but I have a question for us first before I ask it to him. Are we locked into our Canal Fest reimbursement, or is that gonna be negotiated again? I know North Carolina One is on a contract. Are we on a contract or no?
We have no kind.
We have no contract,
No.
so,
We do one
so
year.
I think you just spent on a number 33,000 or something.
That
like
was
that.
what we spent for this year.
So
yeah.
do we have the ability to tell Canal Fest that we want a higher number?
We would negotiate. that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so when he comes up with a number of what he's anticipating, plus what we would anticipate from DPW and everybody,
Yeah, the mayor already gave us the facts at, the other meeting on what it costs.
Right. Sean's our liaison for Canal Fest. The meeting is, I think,
Yeah, I replied to that. I think that's a conversation. for
and that's
us.
good, because you can go to that meeting, because if we stick to you stick to the 4 days, I mean, I'm talking to people from North Carolina, and they're looking at doing everything on North Carolina side. And
I sent a reply,
Anything on the budget.
yeah, I sent a reply on the, Now Fest, to that topic that I'd like to discuss when we go.
Yeah.
to it.
And I responded to.
well, as far as, so that was back to the budget conversation, I'm like, with his salary lines, his overtime is built into the salary line. Should we add them, should we be? Your salaries, right, this salary line, 4.2 million, that includes your overtime and salaries and everything, right, that's what you spend on your budget?
It's like two. Yeah, right,
So you're right, so Adam, would it be more appropriate that in addition to him having that, having another line for salaries for Canal Fest? That's something we could look, then we can budget in his line for Canal Fest or his overtime or equipment, whatever the costs are. That he's gonna say is our cost, which is outside of our normal course of business. Canal Fest is an added fee.
Yeah, I think it's true. That.
Okay.
He gives me the numbers every
It's
year.
harder to break out. I
Yeah,
mean, it's a
I've
one,
got-
it's not like. It's a week a year. You know what I mean? It's not like we're trying to track these costs over the whole year.
I have a
I think
program
Chief can
for
pretty
staff
easily
and
see what overtime was Canal Fest specific because it's only a week a year. If it was something where we were picking up, 3 or 4 hours of overtime a week or 10 hours overtime.
Oh,
a
for the
week.
year, you're saying, it's
Exactly,
sustainable.
but I mean, it's very easy to pull that number out. for Chief,
Because it is a big chunk of
One day.
change out of his
Big
budget.
chunk.
I have a program for this, goes right. Get it right.
And then you can be able to, but then bring it to us, and then we can go to Canal Fest and say, okay, that's another conversation we need to have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think having a whole salary line is okay. And having a
Okay.
breakdown what we need it is the way to go.
Any other questions for the chief? All right, thanks, chief.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, let's go through the agenda. On the minutes. Any questions on them? All right, Councilman Rounstrau has the MOU. Any questions on it?
I don't think we.
The whole thing there. You have a bad page?
Don't have the best day.
Yeah, I got a back page.
Oh, no, it is, I don't.
Oh,
You guys are passed together?
yeah, I have 5 and 6.
Yeah, I don't have this. Thank you.
Can you grab a copy of the agenda and tell me if there's anything beyond 4 on that? Yeah, do you have, is there a resolution 5 and 6?
Well, 5 and 6 would be the executive session and 6.
Oh.
No, nothing.
Who has 5 and 6? Got 5 and 6.
It's not the board. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
It's from the-
5, yeah.
The
I find it.
executive,
But your stops at 4.
I stopped before, he stopped before.
All right. We'll get you copies. All right, next is the resolution for the CDBG grant. You want to do council on this? Questions on it? All right, and then next is the special events for It's a Wonderful Night. Questions? Who wants it? Council? Council's good. Mayor, do you have exec
Yes, we do.
for?
Personal.
What might concern?
Particular person.
Personnel of a particular person. Okay, I'll make a motion to go into executive session for personnel of a particular person. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Mylum, all those in favor? Yeah. So you'll just have to leave. That's okay.
I was.
In the area are. I know. So it's great for all these different haunted houses for the kids on Halloween because they're free and people can get out there and Haunted Harbor, the DPW, Public Works, Parks Department, they put on a phenomenal effort on our side and then it corresponds with the North Tonawanda side. Also like to say congratulations to the TFC football clinic. The Renegades and the Braves both made it to the championship game. And then on a last note, Canal Fest. I've seen online that they've already announced the 8-day Canal Fest with the dates that they plan on holding the 8-day Canal Fest. As a council, have not had that discussion. And the last thing we said when all the news cameras were here was we wanted to see it reimagined for the 2025 year, and we should have that discussion. Well, evidently they don't care about us because they just went right in and picked 8 days of when they feel that they should have it. Well, good luck bringing it to the council now, because I think they've now, at least me, I'm insulted that they would put out on their Facebook and their website, these are the 8 days of Canal Fest, July 2025. And they have not come to this council and had that discussion, whether about finances or whether about reimagining it, where they're putting the games, where they're putting the rides, how much we're gonna take in financially to offset our costs. But they've already thumbed their nose at us and said, these are the 8 days that we're doing it. Good luck. I encourage you to come here and have a conversation with us. But until then, I say good luck. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Mr. Rautenstrau.
Thank you, Madam President. Because Mr. Fisher brought it up, I would like to piggyback on that. The mayor was kind enough to ask me to be representative for the City of Tonawanda Council to the Canal Fest Committee. The 2 meetings had passed already. I noticed those meetings were very short notice. I was on it. But looking back on that, the minutes prior to me being invited to the first meeting, these dates were already designated in their minutes. So I don't think that was something that was open for discussion. And I have emailed the council to ask that we bring in some representatives in here so we as a whole express what we want for our city and how we want the Canal Fest to be represented in our city, how it affects us. So I hope to get something like that. Second thing I just wanted to mention, I want to say thank you to our department heads for talking to us tonight. So a little rushed. I'm glad we had the opportunity to speak to you about your budgets. It's very helpful and gives great information. So we do appreciate that. Finally, I would like to first of all thank our fire police, our volunteer police, our volunteer fire, and our auxiliary police for their presence on Hallmark Park. You know, they've been doing this for multiple years. I appreciate the presence. I appreciate being there. I have every year had a chance to talk, say hi to volunteers that do sit at the corner of our street, and they're so happy to be there. So happy to see the kids enjoying themselves. You know, to that note, we hear a lot about the Halloween. The kids aren't out as much. They're all going to the park. You know, as times have changed, we provide a safe area for kids to come. And they take advantage of it. There's a lot of participation on the park. I try to ask the streets to be closed. It's a matter of safety and to help people promote this. I lived on that street for 3 or 4 years prior to being on the council, where I did talk about it. Yes, to have that street closed. And I watched that street get jam-packed. I watched cars coming up and down the street, clogging it up. There was no way that anyone would see vehicles down that street. I know I hear a lot from people that this wasn't like this when we were kids. Well, it is a different time. We have kids there. I have kids that I was at the time. So I'm glad you're able to make this a safe event. It's not a city event. It's just a bunch of people in my neighborhood that turn their lights on. People can't get there. Are happy to do it. So I thank our volunteers for being there, for their presence. I thank my neighbors and other part of their participation. And I also thank the neighbors that don't participate for their tolerance of this event. One of my favorite things that I heard from people as I walk the neighborhoods, not with my kids anymore because they pretty much want me to lag a couple houses behind, not embarrass them. And I really sure. But what I heard from a lot of the neighbors that didn't participate is they were happy to hear happy Halloween. Thank you so much. That's what makes them. kids from not only the city, obviously we don't have 700 kids on the streets interacting on Main Street. JJ at the corner, JJ 3000. So, but there's people coming in from other neighborhoods that don't have these opportunities. There's people coming from areas that don't have a bunch of people getting together. And I think, I know, I'm confident the neighbors that participate are very happy that they can provide something for these kids. Kudos to the people that were involved.
Thank you, Mr. Rounstrau. Mr. Mylum?
Just really quick, I sent an email to this effect to Sharon and the mayor, but I'd like to publicly thank you both for helping with the street lights that were out. I know that that's become a roving problem and getting the workers here. I know the residents appreciate having the streets still back up. And also for the resident on Brookside Terrace and the pile of asphalt that was on the sidewalk. It's not, I can count on one hand the amount of times that a resident has called and thanked me, and that was one of them. So, thank you guys for both for helping me out with that. I appreciate it, and that's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mylum. Mayor?
Thank you, Madam President. I'll try to make it brief, so I got about 6 pages here. I'm just kidding. First of all, congratulations to Roth Funeral Home. I love it. They do a great job. Continue your great work. They couldn't make it tonight. He was sick and she couldn't make it, so I just want to thank them. Next is I was honored to be at the Tonawanda Church of Christ this last Sunday to deliver them a proclamation to celebrate their 90th year anniversary last Sunday. Pretty cool, 90 years in existence. I had a ball. It was great to see them. I just told them everybody celebrates and goes, in different churches. And yes, God's in all the churches. It's not just in your church. So I thought that was a neat opportunity for me to thank them for doing this for 90 years. Next is, I just wanted to announce these projects. I wanted to keep the council and the public updated. These are the DRI. DRI stands for the Downtown Revitalization Initiative. These are the ones that we submitted as an LPC, our group, which was made up of people that I asked to be vetted by the state. And they kicked 5 people out, then they kicked 3 people out. And I finally got a group of people they felt comfortable with. And we put this together. And now it is in the state's hands to make a decision on which projects they would like to vet and support. JC's Tower, which is Karuba's over on Elmwood. Property development of the Tonawanda Inc., which is the castle, turning that into a large event center. West End property, which is the old Stamps, turning into a bar and apartments up on top. City of Tonawanda, Canal Street Plaza, redoing that whole plaza, making it accessible for people with wheelchairs, make it accessible for parking. That's old time parking. It's old lines on there. That configuration in that parking lot's changed 3 times over. It's got to be relined, redone, but we need to resurface it. That whole thing is be redone with islands and plant material, and it's going to look very, very nice and warming for people to come into the city, not just park in that huge parking lot. And I want to thank Jason, who's been working hard on all these projects with us. The other one is the docks. I'm tired of looking over the bridge and seeing 3-4 feet deep of boats on North Tonawanda side every Wednesday night concert. You look on our side, you don't even see one. Why? Because I'll be darned if I'm 66 years old, 67, walking up a 10-foot steel ladder. It ain't gonna happen. Mike Rua might be able to, because he can still wear his Tonawanda team coat. But I can't do that. I'm not gonna walk up that ladder. So neither is nobody else. That's why we don't get people coming over on our side and walking up there. So we need better docking. So the docking is going to be wheelchair accessible on both ends, coming down like this to a dock that's gonna be pulled out every winter, which DPW tells me we have the capability to pull those docks out. So I'm excited about putting professional docking on our side. It's going to bring people and walkability and money into our city for money for docking. The other one is the RZ Real Estate. That's the old Legion. She's wants to make 7 to 8 luxury apartments up on top in a small event center so they can get married down below and stay up on top in our downtown footprint. How do you not make that any better? I think that's fantastic. The pedestrian bridge, we don't have enough to finish the bridge. So that the money from the DRI, which is about approximately 300,000, will go towards the bridge to finish that bridge so it can be done. It needs repair. We're tired of putting Band-Aids on it. It needs to be repaired. The JKMR LCC 77 Young Street. You see it's already down, and we're waiting for the definition to come out from the state of who was awarded it. It probably will come out in March,
then all the construction will happen. They start now, they won't get reimbursed. That's why it's staying idle, and you'll see it idle. City of Tonawanda, Longstead Home, we need some repairs over there, a lot of work. We want to put new windows in, we want to clean it up, we want to make it presentable, we want to put a little gazebo on the outside, benches so people can sit. There's nowhere to sit on that side of the canal, up to that Longstead Home. I think it'll be energizing for the city, right, at the Longstead Home, bring people in, and I think it'll be nice for us, and it's history. Let's keep our history alive. 116 Broad Street, that's the old church at Broad and Seymour. They're making that into apartments. So at least they're doing something with it. You know what? We're encouraging them. We're offering you money from the state, not from the city. It's not coming from us, to do something, and these people step forward. The next one is the City of Tonawanda Historical Society on Main Street, going into Seymour, right there. It's in disrepair. The brick is falling down, the chimney needs repair. We let it go, it's gone. We don't want to lose that history. It's not a lot of money, but we could save that. And then lastly, we're going to create a downtown Tonawanda Small Business Fund. Right now, it's about $6,000 or $600,000, and it's going to be offered to small businesses. Fiorella wants to put a big outside plant area for his plant material over on Delaware. Somebody else wants to do a small signage. Somebody else wants their frontage to be done. It's small businesses. So if any small business, you still have an opportunity to submit. We got up to about $600,000. With right now, we've got 3, possibly 4. So please take advantage of this. This is money that's offered to help us grow, to help you grow as a business. Please take advantage of it. So that's the DRI, where we are with it. I'm looking forward to the state vetting them so we can get moving on it. We won't see anything till probably March. The Monday, November 11th is Veterans Day, 12 o'clock at the bridge ceremony, 3 o'clock at the Vietnam veterans at the helicopter celebrating over there. Halloween, again, kudos to our police, fire, DPW, Elmwood Park, Haunted Harbor. It's all fantastic. Fantastic for the kids. I'm the first one to want to make it safe. So we did a great job. Thank you all. And congratulations to the department, fire department, for being selected as what's called the rollout for the USFA. What is that? Well, they picked 100 fire departments across the country. It's a National Emergency Response Information System. It's called the NERIS system program. And who put this together was Chief Joshua Lapham. And it's a great program. It's a game changer for our community. It's going to help us with emergency response, enables fire departments to collect, analyze, share real-time information on a national scale, improving response times, coordination, safety information with the fire departments, and you can't beat it. I just want to say kudos to the fire department. I think looking to move into the 2025-ish, 26s on, that's the best way to do it. And I thank you for your enthusiasm. That's all I have, Madam President.
Thank you, Mayor. Certainly thank you for the update on the DRI. It sounds like very exciting times. I also would like to echo the comments of my colleagues and thank the department heads for meeting with us this evening to go over your budget. I appreciate you taking time and talking with us. Last but certainly not least, on this day back in 2015, my niece and nephew were born. So I want to wish a very happy birthday to Gwen and Henry. They're a joy in my life. They should be getting ready for bed right now. They're not watching their aunt up here, but I certainly just want to mention it for the record. I hope they had a wonderful birthday and wish them a very happy and healthy year. Can't believe they're already 9. With that said, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Sheasley. All those in favor? All right, drive home safe, everybody. We're done.
John, are we done? Are we done?
Well, yeah, we're
Council too?
gonna discuss 19.
You don't have to go around the room and hear that?
Jim. What do you want, me or Jim? All right.
I'm good with that.
Very rushed today.
Pardon?
Very rushed. I'm sliding.
I don't mind getting out of here, don't get me wrong.